the goal. Dominates. With a 7-6 record against the spread, baby. Let's go. All right, okay, everybody. Woo! Welcome in, Welcome everybody in this. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to donate, if you want to support this rebel outpost, the home for the college football sickos, with a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Hit that $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get to super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Kurt Gowdy, not Gotti, Gowdy. Greg is a straight up gangsta. 7-6. Before we go through what we're really here to talk about, college football, let's just go through these games real quick so you all know that I'm telling the truth. Florida State and UVA. I took UVA. You guys took Florida State. TCU and Arizona State. We both got that wrong. We both took TCU. They lost by 3. Notre Dame and Arkansas. We both took the Fighting-itis. We did not understand that line. That was a ridiculous line. We thought it was a trap. It wasn't a trap. Sam Pittman fired head coach of Arkansas. It happened today. Breaking news. Sam Pittman fired. Bobby Petrino has taken over as the interim. And it has been just reported that Bobby Petrino is interested in interviewing for the full-time position. Here at Peek Around the Corner, we are going to give you two names. Two names on the Arkansas Hot Board 1.0. One name ain't going to surprise you. One name is not going to surprise you. But the other name, buckle up, brace for impact. Nope, not Kiffin. Buckle up, brace for impact. Anyways, we both got that one correct. We both took Illinois. We got that one correct. We both took Indiana. We both got that wrong. Texas A&M somehow did not cover. We both got that wrong. LSU Ole Miss. We both got that one wrong. The Buckeyes and the Huskies. We both got that one correct. I took Mississippi State. You all took Tennessee. Mississippi State covers by 0.5 point. I got that right. You got it wrong. Iowa State covers easily. We both got that one correct. Alabama and Georgia. We both took Georgia. I don't know about that. I said it at the beginning of the season. Georgia, the Georgia football program, the way it's coached, is a complete mystery to me. I do not understand Georgia. I have no idea what they're doing. I get it. Kirby Smart, very successful coach. He knows what he's doing, but I don't understand it. I don't understand that offense. I don't. I don't get it at all. You know what? I might just not have Georgia in any more of these. I don't think we're going to pick a Georgia game until either they go to the SEC championship game or if they're in the playoffs. Well, I'm going to try to avoid Georgia. Yeah, they beat Tennessee 44-41. It was a great football game. But Something is missing, man, and something isn't right with Georgia. I don't know. Something is not right with Penn State. Yeah, okay. So let's get through these picks. We both took Oregon. We got that right. We both took BYU. We got that correct. So I finished 7-6. The PATC family, the Einsteins, you all went 5-8. My season record against the spread is 35-41. Your record against the spread is 33-43. Now, 35-41 is still bad. It's bad, guys. It's really bad. But it happens to be the best record I've ever had going into week 6 in the 4th year that we've been doing this YouTube channel. So this is my best record, but it's still brutal. So I got to keep it going. Yeah, I got BYU as a loss. I'm sorry. BYU did not cover. I got Oregon, Iowa State, Mississippi State, Ohio State, Illinois, and UVA correct. That's 7-6. You're correct. I got BYU as an L down here. No, you know what? Bob Swanger, let's talk about it right now. Let's go ahead and talk about it right now. Bob Swanger, longtime PATC family member representing the Nittany Lions. Greg, the play calling is a big problem at Penn State. Time for Antti Koltunicki to move on. I'm going to respectfully disagree. You would know better than I, no question about it. My opinion is probably wrong, Mr. Swanger. But here's the problem. How many offensive coordinators has Coach Franklin had? Before it was Andy Koltunicki, it was Kirk Shiraka. I don't even remember all the names. Penn State made a crucial mistake, in my opinion. Bo Pribula is the better quarterback. Imagine the Oregon Ducks having to cover Bo Pribula, having to keep an eye on him. I think they should have cut the cords with Drew Aller after last year. He is not a good enough quarterback. He did not develop. He did not get to that next level. He's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He's a good quarterback. He is. And it's not all his fault. But it just isn't at the level needed. It ain't. And maybe Bo Pribula wasn't the answer. But it ain't Drew Aller. Penn State's got a great football team. All right? Let's not bury the lead here. Penn State's got a great football team. They're going to be a very difficult out the rest of the year. They're going to be a difficult out in the playoffs. They went to the semifinals last year. The Nittany Lions were up 10-0 against the Irish. Let's not forget, Penn State was up 10-0 against the Irish in the semifinal game. They are an outstanding football team with great football players. But we're talking about trying to elevate, trying to get, trying to beat Oregon, the Buckeyes. And I don't know if they can do it with Drew Aller. Gary Parch Patriarch, Pacharish. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Gary. I apologize. The problem isn't AK, Koltaniki. Franklin always picks the wrong quarterback. Remember, they once had Will Levi, and he transferred. Yeah, I don't know. He just hasn't got to the next level. Greg, you are correct about the number of OCs. I agree about Bo also. I mean, and Bo, and here's a problem. Okay, so here's a problem with Bo Pribula. He's not a finished product. Like, he's learning. I mean, he's drinking through a fire hose right now at Missouri. You watch him. He's a little hesitant. He's throwing some balls up in the air that are, right? He's relying too much on his natural athletic ability. And maybe you do not want that, because Penn State I'm talking about, because this is it. Singleton, Allen, all these guys are coming back. Do you want your quarterback to be a guy who isn't quite, he's still in development? I get that. But the short time we saw Bo Pribula with Penn State, my God, that kid gives defenses a whole lot to worry about. And when I was watching that game last night, as the passing game struggled once again, like it did against the Irish, I'm thinking, what if Bo Pribula was in there? Because you can't. Now, Drew Allers, he's mobile. He's a tough kid. He's a good athlete. He's all that. But Bo Pribula, you go at him full bore, and he sidesteps you. He's gone for 30 yards. And those running backs would get a lot more room. The running back, the defenders would have to. They would have to key on Pribula and Allen on the RPOs. I don't know. I was imagining Bo Pribula as the quarterback last night, and I imagine a different game. Now, again, Penn State is a great football team. We're picking a little bit here, because what else are we going to do? Penn State is a great football team. If you don't agree, your team should line up against them, and you're going to get beat. 99% of your fan base is here in the chat room. You're going to get beat by Penn State. But again, this is the year that Franklin really needed to grab the brass ring. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. On the other hand, Oregon. Boy. That took a lot of, what's the word I'm using? Oregon's got a lot of talent. Oregon is well coached. They're not making a whole lot of mistakes, right? You don't see a bunch of penalties, pre-snap penalties. You don't see them having a hard time getting guys in off the field. They are a clean run operation, and everybody's buying in. But they also showed last night some moxie, some intestinal fortitude. They were up 17-3. They're on the road. Penn State comes back. Of course, Penn State has intestinal fortitude. They come back. They tie Oregon. They take the lead in overtime, and Oregon comes back and ties it up. And the Oregon Ducks, again, look at the top. Look at the, my title screen, Buckeyes, Ducks, Hurricanes. I mean, in my mind, those are the three teams right now. I get it. Ty Simpson's looking better. Looking really good. You know, there's other teams up there. We're going to take a look at it here after we do the roll call. Ole Miss. Ole Miss has said, shut up, fat guy from Minnesota. We got this. We got this. The Rebels have shut me up in 2025. The Sooners with John Mateer, hopefully he gets back here shortly. You got Marcel Reed, who's having a Heisman type of season for the Aggies. Indiana Hoosiers go down to Iowa City. Tough place to play. They win. Texas. Alabama seems to have, well, they have Georgia's number for number 1. The Texas Tech Red Raiders, the last time we saw them, they were putting on a clinic. The Red Raiders defensive line is absolutely legit. Iowa State, in my opinion, should be nestled in there at number 12. The Cyclones should be at number 12. In fact, at PATC, we have made an early decision. Next week, noon Eastern time, PATC watch party, the Iowa State Cyclones at Cincinnati. That is the game we're going to be doing next Saturday, noon Eastern time, Iowa State at Cincinnati. But for me right now, it is the Buckeyes, the Ducks, and the Hurricanes. I don't see Ole Miss playing with those 3 teams. Oklahoma, we'll see when John Mateer comes back. I don't see the Aggies playing with those 3 teams. So there it is. I think it is those 3, and then there is a gap. Tennessee escapes with the win. Vanderbilt looks very good. It's going to be Vanderbilt at Alabama, and that's going to be the College Game Day, as College Game Day is skipping Florida State and Miami. Georgia Tech escapes with the win. Florida State drops down to 18, and there is Missouri. As you all know, I've got Missouri. I predicted them to go to the playoffs this year. They did not start in the top 25 this year. It took them a while to get to the top 25. Michigan, I don't think Michigan. Okay, now this is where I get in trouble. This is where I get in trouble. I've gotten in trouble with a lot of Big Ten fans in the last 7 days. My God. Michigan Wolverines, they're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough win. They're always going to play tough. They're going to battle. They're going to win most of the games. I think they're going to come up short. I don't have them going to the playoffs. I do not think how the team is constructed with a true freshman quarterback, with those wide receivers, although that McCauley's playing a lot better than I thought he was going to play. But they still don't have the weapons, especially the senior weapons around Michigan, to help Bryce Underwood out. Michigan gashed Nebraska. I think Michigan at number 20 is the right spot, and I do not see them getting to the playoffs. Notre Dame still has a shot. They can run the table. They're going to be in the playoffs. Illinois, 22. BYU, another road victory. Another road victory for BYU. East Carolina and then Colorado. Virginia, big win, number 24. And Arizona State, number 25. That is your AP top 25. Now, we are going to go through the games real quick here, but let me go through a roll call, And then we're going to go through the roll call. And then we're going to talk about Sam Pittman's firing. And he's been at number 1, number 2, number 3 on our hot seat list since the beginning of the season. Does not come as a surprise that he got fired. But we got two names on the Arkansas Hot Board 1.0 here at PATC. One name, a lot of you are going to say, of course. The second name is going to rattle the cages of the PATC Einsteins. And I'm not putting that name out there to generate a response. I'm putting that name out there because I'm serious. So buckle up, brace for impact. Bob Swanger is in the house. Rowan Phillips is here. Buckeye Expedition Greg, the architect. David Kreitzer. Fix the left side of your chain. Is that good? Hopefully that's good. Hummus Hero is in the house. Talking Comics is here. Jay Chapman. Gerald Jones. Edward the Auburn Tiger. The architect Tom DeBay. The Walking Geek. Quarterbacks are developed. MBM. This is Oregon's year. You might be right. MBM might be correct. NE is in the house. Can we just say it already? I think Moore has the Heisman in the bag. No one else has shown anything crazy this season so far. There's a lot of great quarterback performances. A lot of them. I mean, look at the Buckeyes quarterback, Julian Sayin. His completion percentage is like 78%. Redshirt freshman. He's as accurate as hell with that football. James Davis is in the house. Tom DeBay, Rock and Rant. ESPN new 30 for 30, the snub part 2. The great college game day Tallahassee massacre. What if I told you Kirk almost came to Tally? Bill G is in the house. Thanks for coming on in, Bill G. Rock and Rant, I am not remotely afraid of Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, or anyone this year. Okay, you're maybe not afraid, but, Rock and Rant. I mean, they are a threat to Miami. Those teams are a threat to Miami. I think you would agree with that. Kurt Searcy is in the house. Chef Mall is here. Who else? Scott Grable, thanks for coming on in. As a Bama fan, I'm happy about the win, but this team has no rush defense. They are not gap sound and cannot set the edge or containment. Thanks for coming on in, Mr. Grable. Appreciate it. The Walking Geek. Washington will win 8 to 10 games this year. Very talented. Tough Tony's in the house. I'm not looking forward to next week. The line has come out, and the Buckeyes are minus 22 against Minnesota. That line is going to jump up to 26 or 28 within the next 48 hours. Get your money on the Buckeyes. Get your money on the Buckeyes. The game is either going to be 66 to 10 or 66 to 6, depending on if Fleck goes for it on 4th down at the Buckeye 7-yard line against their third stringers late in the game. 66 to 10, 66 to 6, 66 to 3. One of those three scores. The Buckeyes could hang 70 on Minnesota, but Ryan Day will probably will probably refuse to do it against his good friend PJ Fleck. My beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers are absolutely going to get hammered on NBC next Saturday night. Morris Simmons is in the house. Taylor Mott is here. All right. So Arkansas, Rhett Lashley, I think we're going to bring up that name right now. I think we're going to bring up Rhett Lashley. But that ain't the number, okay. We'll get to it in a second here. Pittman gets fired. Leadership change announced for Arkansas football. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Arkansas has made a change in the leadership of the football program with the dismissal of head coach Sam Pittman by vice chancellor and athletic director. Pittman was named the Razorbacks' 34th head coach in December of 2019 and was in his sixth season, leading the Hogs in 25, 32 and 34 overall, while winning 3 bowl games in his tenure. Arkansas is 2-3 this season, heading into the bye week before returning to action at Tennessee on October 11th. Okay, it's been announced that Bobby Petrino is the interim head coach. It's also been reported that Bobby Petrino is interested in applying for the full-time position. The 2 names that we've got on the PATC hot board 1.0 for the new head coach of the Arkansas Razorback. Number 1 is current head coach of SMU, Rhett Lashley. That should not surprise anybody. Rhett Lashley, number 1 with the bullet. Number 2. But Greg, you said months ago that the Gophers would lock down J.J. Smith, put him in cuffs and shackles. I did say that. Well, no. That was my twin brother, Bob. Hummus here, I've already explained this. I've explained this to Moen. I've explained this to Expedition Greg, to Gerald Jones. I've got a twin brother named Bob. He's the fat guy from Minnesota like me. He sings like me, horrible. He talks like me. But he's a complete moron, unlike me. He came out here and misrepresented. He came out here and pretended that he was me. My twin brother Bob gave all the elbows to the Buckeyes month after month. But it wasn't me. I would never be that stupid. The reality is the Gophers have got no shot to stop the Buckeyes. None. It's not even worth talking. I'm literally going to try to avoid the game as much as I can this week. It's all up on Ryan Day. What does he want to do? Does he want to pull Bo Jackson out after getting 180 yards? Or does he get 260? Whatever. The Gophers cannot line up and stop. They have to completely gamble. It's bad out there. Now, it is a good opportunity for Drake Lindsay to play on the road again in Columbus in front of a crazy 100,000 fans. He's going to get pummeled, but I bet he makes a couple good throws. He had a great day Saturday. He's a great young quarterback. So I'm happy that he gets this opportunity. But the Gophers have to play at Ohio State and then later on the season on a Friday night at Oregon. At Ohio State, at Oregon, both games prime time, both games on the road, both games the whole country is going to watch for a half a quarter. while my beloved Golden Gophers get 60, 70 points put on them. And I'm going to avoid the game for the rest of the week. Maybe Bob is the Kool-Aid. Evil twin Bob the Fooler. Does Bob like cheeseburgers? Yes, because he's a moron. Bob Pflugar is an absolute moron. Okay. Okay, wait. So, let's get back to the hot board 1.0 for Arkansas. Number 1 on the list, Rhett Lashley. Number 2 on the list. And I'm being serious here. I'm not joking around. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. Number 2 on the PATC Arkansas Razorback hot board list is none other than Deion Sanders. Now, is Deion Sanders going to be taken off the list in a couple of weeks? Could be. He could be. But I got a feeling that the Arkansas Razorbacks, just like they did with the basketball program, are going to go for the highest profile name that they can find. The Arkansas Razorback, the money perch that we were able to talk to, said Deion Sanders is favored by the old guard of the Arkansas Razorback boosters. There's already a report out there. I don't remember where it's at. If it's USA Today, Sports Illustrated, The Athletic, somebody reported on Deion Sanders. I believe that he was talked to by the athletic director of Arkansas, the current one, before they hired Sam Pittman. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Arkansas booster, Deion Sanders. I think Arkansas would say to Deion Sanders, if you are interested in going through the process, you would be able to energize our boosters. We would give you this amount of money for the coaching pool. You would get paid well. Here's the NIL money. But we need your name. We need your brand. We need your high profile. You coach it. We support it. Just like what's going on in Colorado with some success. Especially if you compare it to Colorado Buffalo football before Deion Sanders got there. Deion Sanders, as of right now, is number 2 on the Arkansas 1.0 hot board. He might get taken off in a couple of weeks, but not today. Today, he is number 2. Rhett Lashley, number 1. Deion Sanders, number 2. And then you get into who is number 3. I don't have a third name. But, again, it's probably going to be somebody who can generate interest, recruiting in the state of Texas. And there's a lot of successful coaches, G5 coaches, in the state of Texas. So North Texas, UTSA, go down the list. So one of those names will probably be number 3, maybe move up to number 2. If we hear that Deion Sanders would no way go to Arkansas. But that is our list right now. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. He hasn't won anything in Colorado except except he's got exposure. He's brought money to the program. He has sold tickets. And Colorado's win totals are higher now than when he got there. OPD done. OPD done. I could see the Minnesota quarterback go to Arkansas then. Drake Lindsey is not going anywhere. If he does, I don't think it's going to be to Arkansas. Drake Lindsey he was interviewed by Arkansas podcasters before the start of the season. Radio guys, longtime radio guys. It was a long interview. You can find it on YouTube. But Drake Lindsey basically said he's got a chip on his shoulder that Arkansas never recruited him. Drake Lindsey explained why they did not recruit him, because Drake Lindsey got injured as a sophomore in high school, but then he dominated the state as a junior. He dominated the state as a senior, and Arkansas was not going to be able to get him. So I don't think it's going to, if there's an SEC program that goes and gets Drake Lindsey from Minnesota, I don't think it's going to be Arkansas. Especially when they're going to go through this process of hiring a new coach and, Expedition Greg, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for the $2 holla. Appreciate it so very much. LSU will need a quarterback. Now that I'll get worried about. I will get worried about something like that. Florida should have a head coach job, and that is where Lane Kiffin, Morris Simmons, I think that's where Lane Kiffin's going to be number one on that hot board. James Davis is Tony White. Look, Tony White did not have a good game. Florida State defense did not have a good game. But please don't push Tony White to the curb after one game. Drop the bag for Hartline for Arkansas head coach. Yeah, if Rhett Lashley gets the job, he's going after that Minnesota quarterback. I don't think Arkansas can get him, but we'll see. D5 Terps, what great games yesterday. Somehow I fully expected Aller to throw an INT in that moment. Great game though. That was Thieneman, Thieneman, the great safety that the Oregon Ducks got in the transfer portal, came from Purdue. Beautiful interception. Beautiful play. Beautiful play. Yeah, Tony White wants a head coaching job. Absolutely. And he should. Yes, Deion did do an interview with the Hogs back in 19. He's on our number 2 on a hot board list. I'm surprised I'm not getting ripped on here in the chat room. The Architect, prime time in the South within reach of elite talent is a problem. Tu Masta, prime in Hogville. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, let's go through the games here. First, we're going to go through the ACC, talk about these games. This is the Aftermath show we do every Sunday. And then we're going to open up the phone lines. You have control of how long the show goes. You give us a call. You talk about your team, anything in college football that your heart desires. ACC. Again, Virginia defeated Florida State in double overtime. The Cavalier fans rush the field. Georgia Tech survives. Defeats Wake Forest 30-29. They drop a little bit in the AP poll. Duke, Mensa 38-3. They crushed the Syracuse Orange. Louisville survives 34-27 over Pittsburgh. I believe their next game is against Virginia. California, the Golden Bears defeat Boston College. They go 4-1, 1-0 in the ACC. California, with that schedule, look out. Virginia Tech, with the interim head coach, 23-21 over North Carolina State. And North Carolina State's Wolfpack head coach, there is a lot of frustration in Wolfpack country. We're going to talk about that later this week. Stanford 30, San Jose State 29, 30-29. That is your ACC action. In the Big 12, Arizona State wins 27-24 over TCU. 6 sacks, shut down the Horned Frogs running game. Houston defeats Oregon State 27-24 on the road. Houston was almost a 2-touchdown favorite, and they just got by winning in overtime over the Beavers. Iowa State 39, Arizona 14. Iowa State Cyclones. Are they the team to beat in the Big 12? Arizona State says, we're the defending champions. BYU says, look at us. Look at the BYU Cougars. And Utah saying, don't forget about us. We lost to the Texas Tech Red Raiders, but we're going to win the rest of the games. And Red Raiders are like, who in the heck are the Cyclones? The Red Raiders, we are the dominant team in the Big 12. BYU wins another road game. Bear Bachmeier on the road. This kid is all about composure. Does he ever get rattled? He doesn't look like he gets rattled. My goodness. And this is the shocker for me. Cincinnati 37, Kansas 34. We are going to be doing the watch party next Saturday, noon Eastern. Iowa State at Cincinnati. This is the Bearcats' time. This is the Bearcats' time to grab the brass ring, to go 2-0 in the Big 12, upset Kansas, then go ahead and upset Iowa State. Can the Bearcats do it? Can they do it? They had that touchdown with about 30 seconds left to go in the game, and they defeat the Kansas Jayhawks in Kansas. Kansas State 34, UCF 20. Baylor 45, Oklahoma State 27, Utah 48, West Virginia 14. And of course, Baylor is saying, well, we only have one Big 12 loss. All right? Don't forget about us, man. We've got weapons. We've got Mr. Robinson. Baylor Bears 45-27. Utah goes up big on West Virginia 48-14. Now we head on to the Big Ten. The Buckeyes were dominant. I don't know what else to say. 24-6 on the road in front of those crazy great fans of the Huskies, and they just shut Washington down. Yeah, Washington got in the red zone a couple of times, but the Buckeyes kept making play after play after play after play. It was difficult for Denman Williams to operate his offense in the red zone where everything gets tighter. He had a very difficult time finding people open. The Buckeyes got him on the ground, and they shut down Washington 24-6. And the game we've been talking about, the Oregon Ducks 30, Penn State 24. Another opportunity for Franklin to defeat a top 5 team. Another opportunity for Penn State to say, we are Penn State and we deserve to be called one of the elite teams this year. But they lost at home. Oregon, Dylan Thieneman intercepted Drew Aller's pass. 30-24 Ducks win. Indiana, yeah, they struggled like almost everybody else does in Iowa City. But the Hoosiers did come out with a victory, 20-15. Mark Gronowski, the quarterback of Iowa, he got a little bit of an injury there. I don't know how severe it is, but he could not finish the game. The Hawkeyes had to go to their backup quarterback. We got to keep an eye on Gronowski's health going into this week. Illinois, last-second field goal. They defeat the USC Trojans 34-32. Once again, USC on the road in the Big Ten in the Midwest can't quite get it done. And Luke Altmaier drove Illinois down the last drive, 41-yard field goal, walk-off field goal. Illinois wins. They come off the mat after getting blown out by the Hoosiers. Big win by Illinois. Minnesota 31, Rutgers 28. Well, Minnesota's defense, absolutely gashed. Drake Lindsey, spectacular game. 324 yards, 31 of 41, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Drake Lindsey is the best quarterback, best Golden Gopher quarterback in my lifetime, and he's a redshirt freshman. But Darius Taylor is still injured. Can't get him on the field. He's got that hamstring, just like last year, just like the year before. The Buckeyes are going to hang 60-some on them next week. And then the Gophers are going to be playing Purdue at home, and hopefully coming out of that, the Gophers will be 4-2, and then we'll see what happens the rest of the way. But just get out of that Buckeye game. Get out of that Buckeye game without any big injuries. UCLA, Northwestern. Northwestern 17, UCLA 14. Northwestern goes 2-2. UCLA 0-4. 0-4. We go to the Southeastern Conference. The Southeastern Conference. Ole Miss 24, LSU 19. Ole Miss went from 13th in the country in the AP poll all the way up to number 4. They took LSU's spot. Alabama 24-21. Again, Georgia can't get it done against Alabama. Alabama, Ty Simpson, he's waking up. Ty Simpson is waking up in the Georgia Bulldogs offense. Georgia is a mystery to me. I think if I was Kirby Smart, I would try again. I would try to get another new offensive coordinator. I would give the offensive coordinator all the power. And something is wrong with Georgia. I know they scored 44 against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense is way below average this year. They've had some injuries in the secondary. They lost a lot of dudes in the NFL. Something wrong with Georgia's offense. Auburn loses by 6 to Texas A&M. The Aggies survive. Tennessee 41, Mississippi State 34. Tennessee survives in overtime. Vanderbilt 55-35. They play Alabama next week. Missouri 42, Massachusetts 6. Notre Dame whips up on Arkansas. Arkansas fires Sam Pittman in South Carolina. Big play after big play. Scoop and score. INT. They're scoring in all different ways. 35-13 over Kentucky. And before we go to your phone calls, again, we are looking at the American. We got to keep an eye on the American Conference because I believe the representative into the playoffs by the G5 is going to come from the American. East Carolina 28, Army 6. North Texas goes 3-0. 3-0 in the American. 36-22 over South Alabama. Navy 3-0 in the American. They defeated Rice 21-13. Tulane 31-14 over Tulsa. Tulane 1-0 in the American. Memphis 5-0, 1-0 in the American, 55-26 over Florida Atlantic. So we are always going to talk about the Power Four conferences. We're going to be looking at the conference races. But the American is something we're going to keep an eye on because the winner of that conference, South Florida, Memphis, Tulane, whoever it's going to be, they've got to be the representative in the playoffs, in my strongly held opinion. Okay. This Alabama team resembles the Washington team with Penix more than last year's squad. Interesting. No more doubt UCLA is the worst P4 team. Yep. Morris Simmons, I don't see anyone going undefeated going into the CFP. No reason for panic at Southern California. This was a must-win for Illinois. Grateful Trojans in the house. Thanks for coming on in, Grateful Trojan. Yeah, it was a great slate of games in the Big Ten. No question about it. No question about it. Got to feel bad for West Virginia. Yeah, it was going to be a tough year. It was going to be a tough year. That's not a shocker. Cincinnati should have beaten Nebraska too. All right, well, we're going to cover that Iowa State-Cincinnati game next week, noon Eastern time. Come join us. Okay, we're going to open up the phone lines. Opening up the phone lines, give us a call, talk about anything in college football, especially having to do with Week 5. But when you call in, the floor is absolutely yours. Talking about college football. Again, the AP Top 25 has come out. The floor is open. 763-260-1333. Number 25, Arizona State. 24, Virginia. BYU 23, Illinois 22, Notre Dame 21. Michigan 20. Missouri 19. The Seminoles 18. Georgia Tech 17, Vanderbilt 16. Tennessee 15, the Cyclones at number 14, and I believe they should be at number 11. And I believe Texas Tech should be in the top 10 at number 10. Put Alabama at number 12. That's what I would have them. Iowa State 14, LSU 13, Georgia 12, Texas Tech 11, Bama 10, Texas 9, Indiana 8, Penn State 7, Texas A&M 6, Oklahoma number 5, Ole Miss Rebels 4, Miami 3, Oregon 2, and the reigning, defending national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes at number 1. How Texas is number 9. Plenty of football left to be played. Morris Simmons. Morris Simmons is slowly getting over the loss. Well, hopefully the players are too. You know what? Give the Hurricanes hell. Give the Hurricanes hell. That's what your mind has to be on. Look, what the past is the past. The 2-10 season over. There are a lot of good things that have happened with the Seminoles this year. They got beat. But now it's time to rise up, Seminoles. Time to rise up and beat back those Miami Hurricanes. ECU could sneak in the American Championship game. Go Pirates. Absolutely. LSU drops 9 spots, losing on the road. Penn State drops 5, losing at home. SEC bias. Ryan Brooks brings up a good point.
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant, the floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
I'm recovering from a late night watching the BYU Colorado game starting early. What an amazing day.
Yeah, it was a great day. Yes, it was.
And to be clear from an earlier comment, what I meant earlier is just I don't think that there's one team that's clearly above anybody, right? I can make an argument that whether it's Ohio State or Texas, they have the best defense in the country. I can make an argument that Miami might be the most complete team, but doesn't necessarily have the best offense or the best defense, but has some great players. It can make the offense. I don't even know where to go. There's a bunch of great teams, but I don't think there's a. If you're doing tiers, right? Like, I don't think there's as much separation as there was in past years, at least through week 5. Things can change. Everything can go crazy, but that's more of it. Whereas last year, by this time, I was, as a Miami fan, I was already getting shaky about the Miami defense and going, well, I don't think we could completely outscore this if we make it to the playoffs, no matter what Cam Ward could do. So that's really more what I meant rather than, hey, like, we're going to crush everyone, because I don't really think that's necessarily the case.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, finish, please.
It's the Hurricanes. I mean, they got a lot of things going for them, right? They got that number 10, that wide receiver. But I think what the Hurricanes have every single week, and I know it's scary to say this, but what they have is, man, they've got an offensive line, they've got a defensive line. I can't see that going anywhere. Like, okay, so they go to the playoffs and they play another great, like the Buckeyes. Maybe Miami gets beat, maybe Miami wins, maybe they get beat at the line of scrimmage, maybe. But Miami's not going to get beat at the line of scrimmage in pretty much the rest of the ACC games. They're not.
Yeah, I would be highly doubting that. But the thing is, with this season, I've said it's drunk. I don't know how to predict anything with anybody, right? Because if you look at the preseason things, and we'll take Florida State as an example. Preseason, Alabama, before they came back and did what they did against Georgia, had universally top 5 or worst top 10 projected offensive line and defensive lines. And Florida State bullied them, right?
Yeah.
Like, just bullied them. Even if the depth might not be there, they owned them. So everyone was wondering, like, what's the deal with Alabama based off of that? And then you have Florida State go and play Virginia, who nobody would have thought had a top 30 offensive line, just as an example, and is down 3 people on their line. And, Virginia was pretty, got to do a lot of what they wanted to do in a very close game that obviously an instant replay could have changed the outcome. Kind of thing. I do think they got the call right, but I understand frustration that FSU fans might have. So I don't really know what to even make of Florida State, other than I still think that they're really good, and that everybody now sees that their victory over Alabama wasn't because Alabama sucked; it's because Florida State beat them, right?
Yeah.
And had their A game. So who knows? The thing that I thought was really interesting today, I don't know if you've seen it, because we don't really talk about these teams other than one in realignment. If you look in the All-State. And it's just a fun tool. Like, I don't think it's, I'm not trying to say it's the be-all, end-all, but their 2 G5 teams that they have having the best chance of making the playoff right now is North Texas and Old Dominion, both at like 15%.
Ah, okay.
Ahead of Memphis, ahead of USF,
sure.
All the others, Boise, whatever. So I don't know. I don't know how that's calculated, and I certainly haven't paid a lot of attention to Old Dominion, other than I know they did what they did to Virginia Tech. But I thought that was just interesting to see that we might have to start paying attention if that actually holds water as we go forward.
Yeah. Old Dominion at 15%, huh? Now, they only lost...
The updated one they did today.
Okay, they only lost to Indiana by 13 at Indiana. So that's a pretty good loss. 27-14. And they defeated Virginia Tech. They defeated Liberty. They got a road game at James Madison. Road game at James Madison. That probably is the only game that they probably won't be favored in. That is interesting. Old Dominion.
Yeah. And North Texas also is the other one that, if you look at the updated All-State playoff predictor and you do the whole modeling thing, but before you get to pick your team and do your thing, they just show like the 16 or 20 teams.
Yeah.
The 2 G5s that are showing are North Texas and Old Dominion.
And some of that makes sense because the American, there's so many teams that, so if an Old Dominion goes 11-1 and everybody else in the American is 9-3 and overall,
Right.
and so yeah,
Yeah, the American could be like the Big 12 or the G5, just
yeah,
beating up on each other
yeah,
potentially.
yeah,
And we didn't get to talk since as you said, you pissed off half of the world with your excitement over the Ross Dellinger article on the playoffs. And I'm not really, I don't want it to be 24, but I also just want it to be settled and done with because I'm sick of us talking about it, even though I love talking about it. It
yeah.
makes no sense, I know. But I just wanted to, whatever they do, I do think that your excitement is right. It's the Goldilocks solution, right? A lot of non-AQ bids available for the SEC and or Big Ten or whoever to earn and get to the 7 or 8. I think anybody who thinks those teams, those conferences will abandon the championship game but not still do play-ins for their 4th slot, even if that team might still have a backup as a at-large bid, is delusional because there's not one moment when these conferences and schools don't go for the money. They'll figure something out, even if they abandon the championship game. They'll still give 1 and 2, those spots. They'll still do 3, whatever it is, 3, 6, 4 set, whatever they need to do.
You think so? You think so?
I do, because greed is good in the college football world, and they're going to try to find every dollar they can. And even if they get a lot more money from ESPN, Fox, whoever, for an expanded playoff, they're still going to want more, right?
Yeah.
They're still going to want more to fund their programs, to fund, their athletic department, to have more revenue share, to pay more players. And those conferences will always have an advantage, right? Either their media deal or their capacity to sell additional things. So I think it will probably go that way. But I did want to commend and just circle back last to, this is why when 2 months ago and 3 months ago, people were criticizing you should just settle. You never settle till it's the end because you never know what's going to happen. And I realize that the SEC hasn't agreed to it.
Yeah.
And it may not happen, right? All that stuff. But this is why you don't settle and just give in. But you can always settle and give in at the 11th hour. So I think that what your Mark did was smart.
Yeah, I've gone I've had a journey through this, right? When this was all discussion, I was totally against the AQ model. I mean, I went on rants here, and then I kept listening to arguments and listening to Joe Cladd and Josh Pate and people that I agree with sometimes, don't agree with. But I started thinking, no, wait a second. The AQ model works. I like the AQ model. But then I decided, well, the AQ model doesn't work at 16 because it doesn't give enough benefit to the Big 12 and ACC. It does not give enough benefit to them. So I said, okay, AQ model, that is bigger than 16. But I was still looking at unequal numbers of AQs. And the people in the chat room and Big 12 and ACC country, again, they're very mad at me. And I kept saying, well, because I said it over and over again, I'm fine with a 4-4-4-4, 3-3-3, whatever, but I don't think that's going to pass. I don't think the Southeastern Conference is going to agree. Now that we have at least a couple of Big Ten athletic directors, going to socialize that in this this grouping that they're going to have, where a couple of people in each conference, a couple of athletic directors in each conference are going to come together and talk about this. Now I'm thinking, okay, now what is this Southeastern Conference? Where are they going to be okay with this? And of course, we haven't heard any reporting yet, right? So,
right.
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it is the Goldilocks. It definitely, if the Southeastern Conference is willing to eat that porridge, it is the Goldilocks format, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And to be clear, I'm fine if it stays at 12, right? Like, I don't care. I'm not advocating that it go 24, but in terms of the solution, the one thing, and I'll shut up and let others talk, is I do think it's every other time there's been something like this that's been floated, especially when it comes to, Big Ten either quietly through conduits or SEC maybe loudly, we usually hear pushback really damn fast.
Yep.
And it's been 72, 96 hours since the Dellinger article hit, and we haven't heard like a whisper from the SEC, which is not normal from a conference that couldn't even have their athletic directors and head coaches on the same page at their meetings about the playoffs. So I don't know if that means anything. It's more of like interesting that we haven't heard anything off the record, on the record yet, because normally these things don't get 4 or 5 days cycle before we hear something reported through messengers. So anyway, great week of college football, man. Congrats on wearing the gold for a week.
Yes. 7-6, baby. 7-6. Dominant. You
know what? 7-6 betting wise, every week, all the time, you are above the Mendoza line, so to speak, and you're not losing money with the VIG.
Unfortunately, that's just not the reality. So,
all right, man. I will talk to you.
Appreciate it. Great call.
Good.
And again, my dream of a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Call from
Rick, can you just hold on for one moment?
Oh, yes.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to piggyback off what Rock and Rant said. My dream was for them to expand the playoffs and go to 12 teams. I loved what we did last year. I love it. And I'm okay with that. Here is the issue that Pat Forty doesn't want to talk about, that Wetzel doesn't want to talk about, that Stuart Mandel doesn't want to talk about. None of these reporters want to talk about. They don't want to touch it. Good thing the fat guy from Minnesota is going to touch it. That may not come up. But you guys know what I'm saying. Look. The Southeastern Conference wants a larger college football playoffs because they want a larger conference for their own reasons. So they don't get any pushback from any of these reporters for wanting a larger format. Only the Big Ten. So when Rock and Rant says, and Rock and Rant's a lot nicer person than I am, or he may just disagree with me, which is fine. But if there is anything out there in the Southeastern Conference that says, no, hell, we're not gonna agree with this, or if there's any disagreement within the reporters just don't report the same way on the Southeastern Conference as they do in the Big Ten. They don't. They need that ESPN access. They need that Greg Sankey access. When I say that the Southeastern Conference is the most valuable, powerful, best football conference in the nation, I've said that every year. I mean it. And one of those things is the most powerful. They control a lot of this, guys. Yeah, the Big Ten, we're the big, we're the meanies, we're blah, 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 blah. But again, these reporters know that they cannot be on the wrong side of the Southeastern Conference, and they report it in that way. And so if there is if the real reality was the Big 12 and the ACC called up Tony Petitti and said, yeah, we like this 24 thing. We like the 4-4-4-4-2-6. We like it, we want it. And then the SEC was pushed into their own corner. Do you think these reporters would report it that way? I'm going to say no. They're not going to report it that way. I will, if that's the reality, if I get a door open to me, but they're not going to report it that way. Look, we've already got a lot of evidence, guys. The Southeastern Conference wants a large people in the Southeastern Conference. Not all of them. Some of them want a very large college football playoff format. And that does not get ridiculed. That does not get mocked. There's nothing out there in the college football reporting industry that will point that out. Only the Big Ten. Rick, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, on that we agree. The reporters are in the hip pocket, and it's sad. They are. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You can tell the way they write. But what I was leaning toward is what the SEC might end up doing here. And I'm of the opinion they're going to postpone this decision until next year and let the 26 playoffs stay the same. And the reason I think it is because, and you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably am, but who knows. If the SEC takes a big scoop and the Big Ten follows, you've got I don't know what term you want to use for it, an abbreviated ACC,
A reimagined.
A reimagined, that's a good word for it, a reimagined ACC. Now, let's say that happens, and let's say that it's postponed and next year's playoff is just like this year's playoff, so that all of this is decided next year. This reimagined ACC that's, put together with leftovers, they're not going to be entitled to a 4-team AQ, right?
I don't know. I mean, is there going to be something? I suppose that's one of the things they're going to have to. If there is material realignment after they agree upon this college football playoff format, can the AQ model change? That that might have to be part of the agreement, but I don't know. It could be like it is now. It actually is part of the agreement right now in regards to playoff money distribution. You have certain percentage of who gets paid what, but if there's a couple ways that distribution money could change per conference. One, if a conference punches above its weight, which hasn't been done yet. The Big 12 and the ACC did not punch above their weight in the last playoffs. Or number two, if there's material realignment change, then also that distribution money can change. So they sort of already got it written in the current contract. Would they write in a change of AQs after it's all agreed upon, based upon material realignment change, after they all agree? Maybe they will. I don't know.
That's kind of what I'm thinking the SEC might be waiting on, where they're saying to themselves, well, let's just wait until next year. Let it play out the same way as it has this year, the CFP. Next year, when we make the big scoop and the Big Ten follows with whatever they take, the reimagined ACC is going to be of significantly diminished value, thereby allowing the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12, who will probably pick away at the bones of the ACC, to justify a significant number of AQs that can't be done this year.
That's possible. Also,
and also what you get is, let's say that was the SEC's plan, and they also followed it up with, yeah, we'll go to 20 or 24, and we can do the 3 conferences doing 4 each, but all the rest are at large.
Yeah.
Because all of their teams that they want into the playoffs would get in at at-large 20-team playoff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, and I think ESPN would like that. Because I think of them as the same. I don't care what anybody says. ESPN and the SEC are tied at the hip.
Yeah.
When Sankey talks, he speaks for the mouse.
Good point, sir.
Thanks for taking the call.
Beautiful, Rick. Appreciate it. Call again, my man. You know, and one of the hidden advantages. Well, okay, maybe I don't know. I'm just speculating. It's been speculated in the chat room here before. The last time we really talked about it.
Call from
Scott Grable.
Scott Grable, can you hold on for just one moment, please?
Yes.
I appreciate it. And this is, I'm just speculating here, but, you know, one of the motivations for a couple of these Big Ten athletic directors starting to socialize as potential 4-4-4-2-6 equal AQs among the Power Four conferences. Not just, basically, let's get this in large format. But another reason, maybe this would help sell the SCORE Act in the Congress and eventually in the Senate, if they can get it passed in the House. Try to get more traction. Try to get more compromise. They're still working on the House for more compromise, and maybe selling the fact that we're looking at a new world. People are getting paid. We're looking at a bigger playoff format, a more democratization of the playoff format. We're not going to have just one G5, G6 school in the playoffs. We're going to have at least two G6 schools in the playoffs, maybe a third, because there's going to be 6 at-large bids. And there's going to be equal amount among the Power Four conferences, 4 for the SEC, 4 for the ACC, 4 for the Big 12. Look, everybody, look at the Congress and Senate. Look how democratization is coming in. So we got to get the SCORE Act. You can trust us. You can trust us. And then if there is, if a miracle happens and the SCORE Act passes and it codifies the settlement and we got a governing body that has legitimacy in the eyes of the courts. And then after that, the SEC and the Big Ten start stabbing people in the back. The Big 12 might take a knife and stab the ACC in the back. Maybe all that happens after all this. So maybe that is the selling point of the 4-4-4-4-2-6. The hidden motivation for people to start socializing that. That was just speculation. Go ahead, Scott Grable. I think you're a first-time caller. I do appreciate you calling. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir, for taking my call. My whole thing in this is I'm old school.
Yep.
I'm almost 65 years old. I think all this is ruining college football. I wish we could figure out some way just to go back to, make it 60 teams, 10-team conferences, put them back in their regional, the old Pac-12, the old Southwest Conference, whatever you want to call it, and make rivalries what they are. I don't think we should have a 16-team playoff or a 24-team playoff. I think 12 is fine. I think it does make it a little more interesting during the season to have the 12. But my thoughts on it are just take the top 12 teams. Who cares what conference they're from? I mean, just if you want to, just get rid of the conference championships games. All this is motivated by money. They're going to these bigger playoffs just so that they can make more money. ESPN, Fox, ain't none of them innocent in this. SEC, Big Ten, they all want to make more money.
Now,
those are my thoughts, and I'll get off the phone and let you talk.
All right, appreciate the call. Hey, call again, Scott, okay?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Now, a lot of people agree with Scott Grable. A lot of people agree with him. Okay? Here's the thing, though, and I finally, again, this is just my opinion, but I finally came to this conclusion because I was a guy who wanted to go to 12, but I didn't want to go to 16. I didn't want to go further than that. But I've come to this conclusion. We can't run it the same way that we did. We can't. Yes, the primary motivation is money. The primary motivation is exposure. The primary motivation is the college football product isn't just competing with the NFL, it's competing with everything else that's out there. And the number one thing that has happened in college football is that labor is getting paid. Labor is finally getting paid above the table. Because all this resource is being directed to labor as it should be, now they got to make up the difference. None of these athletic directors want to go backwards. None of them want to cut a sport. None of them want to take out their waterfall plans that they're going to put in the front foyer. None of these athletic directors, they don't want to go backwards. They always want to go forward. All of these, no matter what level you are at. No matter if you're one of the bottom G5 schools, one of the top G5 schools, no matter if you're the bottom, the ACC, the Big 12, or if you're the top of the SEC, top of the Big 10, because of this change in paying labor, you're looking for more money. And that has brought on consolidation. I said it. You go back, for people who are new to this program, go back to episode 22. All the way back to episode 22. Not a live show. Episode 22. It's like, I don't know. I don't know when I produced it. It was late 2000 and I don't even remember. I talked about the reasons. I showed all my posts on X. Why USC was calling the Big Ten, why they wanted to get into the Big Ten, and why they were going to get into the Big Ten in the spring of 2022. And the primary reason was USC needed to get to the highest stratification line of revenue. USC had made the same decision that Texas and Oklahoma did before USC. Texas and Oklahoma, they could have ruled the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma were big athletic departments, especially Texas. Texas had their own Longhorn network. But it wasn't going to work in this new world of paying the student athletes. And they all knew it was coming. They knew that consolidation was coming. They knew that the media companies wanted brands to play bigger brands more often. All the reasons why Texas and Oklahoma called the SEC are the same reasons that USC called the Big Ten. Because of this, these conferences have had to drive their value of their conference. One of the big reasons, one of the big ways to do that was to create larger bandwidth of content for their media partners. The Big Ten went from a 2-region conference and now they're nationwide. The Big 12, they expanded. The Pac-12 did not, and they died. If the Pac-12 would have expanded into the Central Zone, they would have survived, but they didn't. The SEC is the only conference that can maintain a 1-region conference, and they're still the most valuable, powerful conference in the country. But these other conferences have had to do it a different way. All this is leading to all these decisions, and you need a larger playoff format with these larger conferences. Even after I said all that, and I know Scott Grable is a Alabama fan. I'm going to say this. I've said this before. I said it all the way back in June 15th of 2024. I'm going to say it right now. Alabama, Georgia, they want the SEC, they want the Southeastern Conference to expand, to become bigger. They want a bigger footprint. And it has nothing to do with football. Or very little to do with football. They're motivated to grow the conference. They're motivated to grow the footprint. They're motivated to compete for the students in the state of North Carolina and Virginia. The SEC is motivated to go to international markets. They started that. They're going to keep doing that. It's going to get bigger and bigger. 10 years from now, the Southeastern Conference brand in Europe and the Middle East is going to be a whole lot different now than it is today. And all that creates a bigger conference. And those schools are going to be looking and saying, well, there's got to be a larger college football playoff format to allow for us to do this. So that's also, so the Southeastern Conference is also pushing. Look, Greg Sankey has had a million opportunities to say, this don't work for us, brother. We're going to stay at 12. We're going to stay at 4. Nah. They want what the Big Ten wants. It doesn't get reported the same. But they want the same thing the Big Ten wants. Bigger, 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 bigger. And they're going to get it. They're going to get what they want eventually. That is my opinion. But a lot of people agree with Scott Grable. A lot of people agree with Scott Grable. John Till, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate it. Okay. John Till, super chat, $2 holla. Thank you so very much. 4444 keeps interest across the country. It's good. All right. Let's pretend here. Let's pretend. Now we're just pretending. Guys. All right. We're looking at the AP poll, right? Let's say it's 444426. Let's say this is the last AP poll that's going to mirror the college football selection. Okay, we're pretending, all right? Buckeyes, Oregon, Penn State, Indiana would be your 4 AQs in the Big Ten, right? In the Southeastern Conference, it would be Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Texas, right? In the 4 in the ACC, it would be Miami, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and Virginia, right? And in the 4 in the Big 12, it would be Texas Tech, Iowa State, BYU, and Arizona State. And now you're looking at the the 2G6s. We really don't have to talk about, whatever they are. I don't know. The American and who else? Sunbelt, James Madison, whatever. Now you're looking at the 6 at-larges, right? Right? Alabama would get an at-large. Georgia would get an at-large. LSU would get an at-large. Tennessee. Look, my point is this. And I know I'm just using the AP. I know I'm just using the AP poll. It's stupid. We're 5 weeks into it. I get it. But if it's a 4-4-4-2-6, most years, and I'm saying almost every single year, the Southeastern Conference is going to get at least 3 at-large bids. They just are. I think last year was a down year for the Southeastern Conference, and they would have gotten 6. They would have gotten like 7 bids last year. So when you're looking at 4-4-4-4-2-6, as a Southeastern Conference fans, I know you're looking at that 4-8Q and you're going, well, everybody's equal to us. No way, they're not equal to. The Southeastern Conference is going to get their 7 or 8 teams in the playoffs. And that is what Greg Sankey wants. If the SEC does the big scoop, he still has the ability to have 33% of his teams, 30% of his teams make the playoffs. That is what Greg Sankey wants. All this AQ does is it raises up the floor for the ACC and the Big 12. I think the greatest value that the AQ model does for the sport is to have interest in conference races, even if that conference is struggling, even if that conference is cannibalizing each other, even if everybody in the conference race is sitting there at 4-2, 4-3. In many years, they would not have anybody going to the playoffs, and the ticket sales and the viewership and the sponsorship, everything would be dropping, the interest, but not in the AQ model. In the AQ model, you're always going to have big-time interest in these conferences. In a time where these media companies are paying more and more and more money for your content. That's why these media companies want this. Or that's why the Big Ten media companies want this. All right, phone lines are open, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. If you know your team is going to the playoff every year, why would a casual fan, how do you know if your team's going to make the playoff every year? How do you know? And here's another thing. Rico, and everybody else. The reason why a 24-team playoff, in my strongly held opinion, has a lot of favor is because these teams, why pay attention to the regular season at all? Well, because you're trying to make the playoffs. You know how many more teams, how many more fan bases were activated during that 12-team playoff versus the 14 playoff? Last year was the most successful regular season we've ever seen. Take a 24-team playoff. I know a lot of you disagree with me, but a 24-team playoff, if you do a straight seed on a 24-team playoff, seed 1 through 8 get a first round bye. And in the second round, they will host a home game on their campus. Seeds 9 through 16 will have a first round game on their home campus. Seeds 17 and 24 go on the road in the first round. There are so many incentives built into that playoff format. It's not just about making the playoffs. It's where you're going to be seated. Am I going to have a home game? Am I going to have to go on the road? Can I get a first round bye and have a second round game at home? If that is not incentive, I don't know what is incentive. Do you know what is not incentive? Is to have 80%, 90% of the teams eliminated from the playoffs 9 weeks, 8 weeks into the season. That doesn't drive interest anywhere. That definitely does not drive interest in the regular season, in my strongly held opinion. John Till, if they just took the top 12, to 16 teams and Minnesota finished fourth in the Big Ten, they'll never get in. But if it's 4-4-4-4 and they finish 4, bingo. I don't know. Minnesota would have made it in 2019, so they finished 10th in the country. And if they would have not dropped that pass on the 1-yard line against Iowa, they would have finished probably top 5, top 6 in the country. So even the Minnesota Golden Gophers, even a blind gopher can pick up an acorn once in a while. But yes, 7 teams make up 50% of the viewership. If those 7 teams are going to go every year off town alone, why not just wait until the playoffs or only watch the 2-3 best games? Okay. As long as you're straight seeding, well, that is my, that would be what I would want. That would be, look, the Southeastern Conference is not going to agree with a larger playoff format unless it's straight seeding. I mean, in the 12-team playoffs, after last year, the SEC and the Big Ten said, we're going to straight seeding. We're not going to have number 1 Oregon play supposedly number 8 seed Ohio State. Of course, I'm not sure, but if you are going to a larger playoff format than 12, it's got to be straight seeding. So the SEC, if you go to straight seeding, those top 8 teams, you could have 5 or 6 Southeastern Conference teams having a first round bye and a home game on campus. There's lots of motivations in the regular season on a 24-team playoff, in my opinion. Now, the question is, can we get Greg Sankey on board? Can we get Greg Sankey on board? In your model, the 4-4-4-4-2 model is the top 2 G6 or the 2... No, it's the 4-4-4-4-2-6 model. The 2 top ranked G6 champions go in the playoffs. Where they get inserted into the playoffs is by straight seeding, which the selection committee is going to do. So if we go to the top, if we go here, if we're pretending that this is sort of what would happen at the end of the season or whatever, the 2 G6 teams would be rated 23 and 24 in the top, in the 24-team playoff. So they'd be 23 and 24 because they're not even in the top 24. So it would be Alabama. No, it would be, I'm sorry. What am I doing here? It would be Texas versus James Madison or North Texas or whoever in the first round of the playoffs. And the game would be at Texas. Alabama would play the other G6 team at Alabama. And then Texas Tech would play probably Arizona State. Because they would be they would qualify as the 4th AQ. And Georgia would play Virginia. I don't think Illinois makes it. And I don't think it don't matter. It don't matter. And Rod Nix said it a million times. The FCS model is the appropriate format, hands down. But they're not going to do it in the FBS because of the viewership number. Right? If they do a 24-team playoff. Okay, So let's say they're sitting around talking about a 2014 playoff. Greg Sankey's sitting there with Petiti and Phillips and Yormark, and he's saying, okay, 2014 playoff. All right. What's the viewership number for Alabama versus North Texas? Like, what if it's a blowout midway through the first? Like, how can we sell this to ESPN? Or how can ESPN sell this to other media companies that might sublicense? Or how do we sell this to media companies to bid on these playoffs? The FBS playoffs are gonna have you're not gonna be able to do 10 conference champions and then the other at large. You can't. It just isn't going to bring the viewership numbers. It isn't going to max out the viewership numbers. And they're doing this for money, guys. They're doing this for money. All right, phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. I want to thank Expedition Greg and John Teal for your donations to help us keep the lights on. I appreciate it. I guarantee you now that the Big Ten and the SEC are going to demand all the buys. I'll put $1,000 on it. Power mongering, and I hate the AQ setup. Well, it's going to be. I think it would be determined by straight seeding. The selection committee is going to determine the buys. So let's take a look at the AP top 25. The season ended now. Indiana, Penn State, A&M, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Miami, Oregon, and Ohio State would get the buys. So every team in there is Big Ten or SEC except for ACC Miami. And then Texas, Alabama, Texas Tech, Georgia, LSU, Iowa State, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt would get first round home games. If that's how the season ended. So yes, the Big Ten and the SEC are going to get most of them. And maybe that's how they get the Southeastern Conference on board. We'll see. Super chat, Kenneth Maynor. If ECU went 13-0 in the American and was in the top 12, we should host a first-round playoff game. Our stadium would be crazy. I'm sure it would. It would be exciting. It would be exciting. No question about it. Thank you for the $10 holla, Mr. Pirate. Kenneth Maynor is in the house. Thank you so very much for your generosity once again, sir. Absolutely. Hold on a second here. All right. But who knows, right? Like Rock and Rant said, there's been no reporting since the Ross Dellinger report on this. We don't know. The Southeastern Conference might have already shut it down. Or maybe some of the Big Ten folk are saying to the two athletic directors of the Big Ten, what are you, crazy? Don't bring this up. We don't want this. So who knows? But we are getting a larger playoffs. We do know that. We just don't know the format. But we're going to get a larger playoff because The Big Ten wants it, and the Southeastern Conference wants it. That's the one thing they both agree on. A larger college football playoff format. Okay, we are going to shut it down here. This has been the Aftermath Show, Sunday, September 28th. Again, PATC Einsteins, you all went 5-8 this week. Greg DeGold went 7-6. I am 35-41 against the spread. You guys are 33-43. Tomorrow, Monday, September 29th, we are going to start discussing, we're going to start talking about Week 6, PATC, Florida State and Miami, Alabama, Vanderbilt. A lot of games we got to talk about here, but we're getting into the middle of the season, kind of close, getting there. A lot of things happening. Sam Pittman has been fired. And again, here at PATC, we have two people on the hot board list. 1.0 Arkansas, number 1, Rhett Lashley, the head coach of SMU. Number 2, Deion Sanders. Yes, I said it. Deion Sanders is number 2 on a hot board list. We think Arkansas is going to at least give him a phone call. We'll see what happens as time goes on. I want to thank everybody for joining us. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you've liked our content. Share the video with your family and friends. It's going to be a very interesting week. Again, I still anticipate somebody, somewhere, talking about what Mark Coyle said last week. I still anticipate that. So buckle up, brace for impact. We cover everything in college football. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family,